The Walmart on Jacksonville's north side was still bright and crowded late into the night, the kind of place where people linger because the air conditioning feels like relief after a long Florida day. Cherish Perrywinkle pushed a shopping cart past racks of kids' clothes, keeping her 3 daughters close as they moved through the aisles. Cherish, 8 years old, walked near the front of the cart, scanning shoes and t-shirts with the small seriousness of a child who knows money is tight but still wants to help pick what fits. Earlier that evening, the family had stopped at a Dollar General. That was where a man approached Rain and introduced himself as Donald Smith. He spoke in an easy, helpful tone and asked about the girls' sizes. He said he had a Walmart gift card and wanted to buy the children clothes. To Rain, who was struggling, the offer sounded like a rare break in a day full of stress. Smith suggested they all go to Walmart together. The family ended up riding with him in his white van, and he drove them to the store. Inside Walmart, Smith stayed near them for hours. He didn't act rushed. He didn't grab or threaten. He blended into the ordinary movement of the store, chatting and pointing out items, keeping the interaction casual enough that it didn't draw attention from strangers passing by. Rain and the girls picked out clothing and shoes. At points, Smith paid for items at registers. Each step made him feel more legitimate, like a person who belonged in their night. As the shopping dragged on, the family moved toward the front of the store. Smith suggested food and said he would buy cheeseburgers from the McDonald's inside. Then he asked Rain if Cherish could come with him while Rain stayed behind with the younger girls. The request was framed as a favor, a small convenience. Rain hesitated, but nothing about his tone felt openly dangerous, and the store was full of people. Cherish went with him. It took only minutes for the situation to turn irreversible. Surveillance cameras later showed Smith and Cherish walking away from the McDonald's area and toward the exit. They passed under the bright lights near the doors, stepped into the parking lot, and headed toward Smith's van. In the steady stream of shoppers coming and going, the pair looked ordinary at a glance, an adult and a child walking together. The cameras recorded the last clear images of Cherish alive. Inside the store, Rain finished what she was doing and looked up, expecting her daughter to return with food. When Cherish didn't come back, Rain searched the front, then the aisles, then the entrances. Panic rose fast. She asked employees to help, then began moving through the store, calling her daughter's name, checking restrooms, peering between clothing racks, and scanning faces at every register line. When it became clear Cherish was not inside the building, Rain called 911. She tried to make one point unmistakable: her child hadn't wandered off. A man walked her out. Officers responded and immediately began separating facts from fear: what Cherish was wearing, what the man looked like, how the family had met him, what kind of vehicle he drove. Store staff were asked to preserve video, and investigators moved quickly to the surveillance room. When they watched the footage and saw Smith lead Cherish out of the store, the case snapped into focus. This was an abduction, and time mattered. Detectives identified the man as Donald James Smith, a registered sex offender known to law enforcement with a long criminal history, including offenses involving children. The search widened through the night. Patrol units checked roads, gas stations, and parking lots, looking for the van. Detectives interviewed anyone who had been near the front of the store: cashiers, security, families loading bags into trunks, hoping someone had noticed a plate number or a direction of travel. Tips began to arrive, some reliable and some not, each one logged and chased because the cost of ignoring the right call was unthinkable. An Amber Alert was issued, turning a local emergency into a public hunt. News crews gathered outside the Walmart by daylight, and volunteers began searching ditches and wooded edges along nearby roads, calling Cherish's name into the heat. Flyers and social posts moved faster than any patrol car, but the city's urgency could not rewind the minutes that mattered most. By morning, officers located Smith and took him into custody. The arrest did not bring relief. It brought dread, because the hours in between were still unaccounted for. Investigators followed the path tied to his movements and to witness sightings of the vehicle. Behind Highlands Baptist Church, they found Cherish's body in a creek beneath debris. The discovery ended the search in the worst possible way and turned the focus to building the case with precision, documenting the scene, securing evidence, and locking down every step of the timeline so no detail could be lost or questioned. In the days that followed, Jacksonville shifted between grief and fury. Parents replayed the sequence in their minds: the approach in a discount store, the ride to Walmart, the hours of shopping that looked harmless from the outside, and the moment a predator asked to take a child for cheeseburgers. Investigators reconstructed how Smith gained access. They collected receipts, surveillance footage, witness statements, and physical evidence. The story that emerged was chilling in its simplicity. A predator offered help, earned trust, and used the normal flow of a busy store as cover. Smith was charged with kidnapping and first-degree murder, along with additional charges connected to what happened after the abduction. The case moved through the court system for years. When it reached trial, jurors saw the surveillance footage and listened to witnesses walk through the night, minute by minute. Rain testified about the moment she realized Cherish was gone and the desperate steps she took to find her. Detectives described the search and the evidence that tied Smith to the crime. The courtroom heard, in careful sequence, how fast the abduction happened and how hard it was to undo once Cherish was outside in the parking lot. In 2018, a jury convicted Donald Smith. The verdict could not restore Cherish's life or repair what her family lost, but it answered the central question of responsibility. A judge later sentenced Smith to death. Appeals followed, as they do in capital cases, but the core facts remained fixed. Cherish was abducted from a Walmart after Smith posed as a helper and gained her mother's trust long enough to remove a child from public view. For many people in Jacksonville, the case became a permanent warning. Predators do not always look violent. Sometimes they arrive with a friendly voice and an offer that sounds like generosity. The danger is how quickly a well-lit aisle can become the last safe place a child ever stands when an adult knows how to manipulate trust and how to move in plain sight. For Rain and for Cherish's sisters, time split into before and after. Before was a late-night shopping trip and the promise of new clothes. After was a life defined by a decision that lasted minutes and changed everything forever. Thank you for listening to Homicide Files. Subscribe for more true crime stories.